which she often summarizes in How to Do the Work, introduces this whole new framework she calls holistic psychology.
And our mission for you today is to really unpack that. The core idea is that feeling stuck, that, that constant frustration or physical pain, it isn't some kind of personal failure.
It's a disconnect.
Exactly. It's this radical idea that your mental, your physical, and your spiritual health are completely inextricably linked.
And that really changes the game. I mean, instead of just treating symptoms in the mind, the focus becomes restoring balance to the body's entire system. The whole premise is that emotional wounds don't just stay in your head.
They show up physically.
Yes, they manifest in your body. And until you address the body, the mind can't really heal.
Which explains why so many of us feel like we're operating on what she calls a blind robot pilot.
Autopilot mode.
Just running these old conditioned programs from decades ago that, they dictate everything. Our relationships, our jobs. It's exhausting, and it's why we feel so powerless.
It is, and what's so interesting is that this whole idea didn't come from some academic paper. It came from her own personal collapse.
I mean, even as a trained clinical psychologist, she was just deeply, deeply unwell.
Yeah.
Let's talk about her personal story, because it's really the perfect example. She describes this constant fog over her mind, chronic gut issues like severe IBS.
And then it got worse. The physical climax was fainting, losing consciousness out of nowhere.
Her own mind, her trained clinical mind, couldn't protect her body.
Exactly. The physical symptoms weren't random. They were like screaming messages from a nervous system that was just completely fried.
And she had to prove this connection was real, not just a theory.
Which brings us to this simple, almost playful test she uses.
The lemon visualization.
Yes. And I invite you, if you're listening, try this right now. Close your eyes. Vividly imagine you're slicing a bright, tart yellow lemon. You see the juice dripping, you smell that sharp scent, and now imagine biting right into it.
You start salivating instantly.
Precisely. Your brain, just through a thought, sent a direct, measurable command to your body. That connection isn't subtle, it's immediate. It proves your thoughts create your physical reality.
And once she started looking for this in her actual practice, she saw it everywhere.
Everywhere. Nearly every client who came in for, anxiety or relationship problems, they also had chronic physical stuff going on. Autoimmune issues, digestive problems, panic attacks.
It just forced her to throw out that old idea of genetic determinism.
The belief that we're basically stuck with the DNA we're born with.
Right. That our fate is sealed at birth. The new science just, it doesn't support that anymore.
And this is where it gets really empowering. We have to talk about epigenetics and neuroplasticity.
This is the science that says your genes are absolutely not your destiny.
Right. Epigenetics is basically the study of how your environment, your stress, your lifestyle, even your food, decides which of your genes gets switched on or off.
So the genes are like light switches.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You might have the switch for, say, anxiety, but your environment is what flips it on.
So if constant stress is flipping on all the negative switches for inflammation or cortisol,
yeah,
then it stands to reason that peace and self-care can flip them back off.
Exactly. The source points to studies of identical twins. They share 100% of their DNA, yet one might develop something severe like schizophrenia while the other doesn't.
The difference is the environment.
The environment is the decider.
Oh.
And that environment it's bigger than just our own lives. That stress is intergenerational.
Yes. Studies show that the children of trauma survivors from war, famine, systemic racism, they show similar health problems to their parents.
The trauma is literally embodied. It's passed down through altered gene expression. It's the body keeping score for generations.
And if our external world can do that, just imagine the power of our internal world, our beliefs.
Which brings us to the placebo and nocebo effects. This is where you see belief creating physical reality in real time.
The placebo effect we've all heard of. People with Parkinson's or IBS getting better from a sugar pill just because they believe it's real medicine.
Their belief literally kicks off the body's own healing mechanisms.
And that study with the runners is fascinating. They ran faster just because they were told they got doping, but it was just saline.
Their minds literally made them faster. But then there's the flip side. The nocebo effect. The evil twin.
This is when negative expectations cause actual measurable harm.
The most chilling example is the man who was wrongly diagnosed with terminal cancer. He was convinced he was dying, and he did within weeks. The autopsy showed.
No cancer.
No cancer at all. He died because he believed he would. His fear became his reality.
That is terrifying. It means the stories we tell ourselves about being broken or doomed, they have real biological power.
They do. And those stories often come from unresolved trauma. Lepera uses a really broad definition of trauma from neurologist Robert Scare,
Any negative life event that occurs in a state of relative helplessness.
which moves it way beyond just, big catastrophic events. It includes things like chronic emotional neglect or living under systemic oppression.
When trauma is that broad, the physical responses too. It gets wired right into our bodies.
We all know about fight or flight, but she really emphasizes the third survival mode, freeze.
Right. Where the system just shuts down. Dissociation, helplessness.
And to really get how this works physically, we have to touch on the polyvagal theory and the vagus nerve. It sounds complex, but
It's basically our internal brake system.
that's a great way to put it. It's this long nerve running from the brainstem down to the gut. When we're calm and feel safe, it acts like a brake, keeping us relaxed and socially engaged.
So if we have chronic unresolved trauma, what happens to the brake pedal?
The vagal tone gets weak, the system becomes dysregulated, the body starts overreacting to everything.
So a loud noise or just an email can trigger a full-on threat response.
Yes, a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, digestive chaos, or even fainting, like the author experienced. You're basically stuck in survival mode.
That sounds absolutely exhausting, and yet people seem to get stuck there. They almost seek it out. Which brings us to this idea of emotional addiction.
It sounds so counterintuitive, doesn't it? But the body and mind get hooked on the chemicals released during those high-stress states.
Cortisol, dopamine.
Exactly. Your brain learns to crave that familiar chemical cocktail, even if it feels terrible.
So if your childhood was chaotic and stressful, your adult nervous system is actually comfortable there. It feels familiar, and familiar feels safe.
That activated state becomes your baseline. Peace and quiet actually feels suspicious, unsafe even. You find yourself seeking out drama, online outrage, chaotic relationships to get that familiar chemical hit.
So if something like 95% of our behavior is just this automatic program running, how on earth do we stop it?
The first step, according to Lepera, is the one thing that can interrupt the program. Consciousness. The essential pause. It's just the act of observing yourself without judgment. That creates a tiny space between the automatic reaction and a new chosen response.
But the subconscious is going to fight back. Hard.
Oh, absolutely. The subconscious wants what's familiar, not what's healthy. So when you try a new habit, like going to the gym, it sends these messages of resistance.
The voice that says, you deserve a break, just quit.
Or that sudden, crushing feeling of exhaustion. It's your subconscious trying to pull you back to the comfort zone, even if that zone is painful.
So to override that, we get to the practice of reparenting.
And this isn't just a fluffy concept. It's a daily action plan to give your inner child the physical and emotional safety it never got.
And the key to that, the practical tool, is what she calls the small daily promise.
Yes, and the emphasis is on small and daily. Consistency over perfection. If you try to go from 0 to 100, your subconscious will just shut you down.
So what does a small promise actually look like?
It could be finding just 1 or 2 minutes a day to be fully present. Maybe it's just noticing the feeling of the warm water on your hands when you do the dishes, or seeing the different shades of green on the trees when you walk.
Just non-judgmental attention.
Exactly. And then afterward, you have to acknowledge it. Gently tell yourself, I did that for myself. That was valuable. It teaches your brain that this new behavior is good.
It's about building trust with yourself again.
It is. And it has to be holistic. You have to address the mind, the body, and the spirit. For the body, that means things like radically improving your sleep.
Like, no caffeine after 1 p.m. No phone for 2 hours before bed. Strict rules.
Yes. And nutrition, eating whole foods to heal that gut-brain connection. And movement, not just for fitness, but to regulate the nervous system. Yoga, aerobic exercise. They build that vagal tone we talked about.
And for the mind and spirit.
That's the inner child work, actually meeting that wounded part of you and speaking to it with kindness.
Like saying, dear little overachiever, you are enough, exactly as you are. You don't have to earn love.
And finally, boundaries. Setting firm but flexible boundaries is non-negotiable. The new, authentic self you're building needs protection from old patterns and people who drain you.
So the takeaway message for you listening is, this is incredibly empowering. Healing isn't some mystical thing, it's a process, and it's grounded in science and consistent daily effort.
It is hard work.
Yeah.
There's no sugarcoating that. And we can't control all the stresses in our environment, especially things like systemic oppression. But we do have the power to choose how we respond and how we connect back to ourselves.
And if you're looking for the simplest, maybe most fun place to start, the source points to one thing: reclaim play.
Play. Laughter, spontaneous fun. It challenges our nervous system in safe ways. It teaches our body that it can handle activation and return to calm.
And the ultimate, simplest practice for strengthening that vagus nerve.
It's singing.
Just sing out loud.
That's it. Singing forces deep, controlled breathing. It vibrates the throat and the vocal cords, which directly stimulates that vagus nerve. So it doesn't matter if it's opera
Or a Disney soundtrack.
a Disney soundtrack at full volume. It is a scientifically supported act of healing.
So here's the final thought for you. What small daily promise will you make to yourself today? Maybe it's 2 minutes of conscious breathing. Maybe it's putting your phone away tonight. Or maybe, just maybe, it's singing out loud in the shower tomorrow morning. Just start small and start now.